Okay, that space right there in my garage, next to the door where the press is 52 inches wide between those shelves and the wall. That's the space I have to work with. I need to get all that shit on the table onto the wall and sorted. So I have a new Harbor Freight storage rack to assemble, hence the boxes. Bag of screws. I am sorting the screws by size, type, using my truck bed liner. It has rows here, so I can just kind of sort my screws into rows. Often I can put the nuts over here, sort everything out. Okay, I am all done here. 4 long bolts, 2 medium size, bunch of short bolts, nuts for everything, and then brass screws. So now I can just pull out from the bottom one at a time what I need, and hopefully I can get this done before it starts to rain. 6 o'clock, I am set up. I have checked my Phillips driver. It fits both of these screws really well. Don't know why, won't question it. The nut will fit my 10-inch driver. Have an extension. I think I'm ready to start. To be thoughtful about getting to the bolts. I put the bolts on the back of things, not on the outside. The drill has to get to them. That's barely gonna work, but I think that's the only ones I'm gonna have any challenges getting to. Okay, the A-frame at the bottom goes on next. It uses one of the medium bolts. There's only 2 of them. There's 2 sides, so anyway, haven't looked at the instructions, but put that in, bolt it up. A bunch of the short screws appear next, there and there, and hopefully that will give it a little bit of strength. Stood up, nothing's tightened yet, but the legs are on, no top. I'm probably doing it in the wrong order. These are pins that just slide into the keyholes, and I am orienting these so that the holes are closer to the top than to the bottom. There's another side to put on, and I will put on the top and put more bolts in. Before I get carried away, I'm laying this down in the back of the truck because I need to put the casters on the bottom. Not that it matters much, but the holes here aren't quite the same. There are no washers, it's just a nut. Short bolts go in here. Put them through, tighten the nut, there we go. Putting the top on is a little bit of a challenge, just the short bolts on the outside, but on the inside is the nut. There's not enough space, that's the top right there, not enough space to get a wrench in there. No ratchet, definitely no cordless drill. The nuts are serrated on the back, so they will at least grab onto the painted surface, so I can at least tighten it with a Phillips out here. That should allow that to be functional. It is rather difficult though to get a finger in there to get the nut started. At least I only have to get it started, and then I can tighten it from out here with a screwdriver. Okay, on to the next side. There, top's on. Supports are tightened up. The exception is the one in the middle. It's because it will crush this box if I tighten them very much, so careful. I'm going to put some green Loctite that should penetrate into the threads like WD-40 and lock those into place. All the other bolts here have been tightened down. I need to come back and put the other side on here and tighten the screws once everything seems like it's in place. Almost ready to go back into the corner there. Trusty old bottle of green Loctite here. Just a bit on the threads, that will penetrate in there, and then hopefully keep those from loosening, because these are not torqued down very tight, again, because the metal box will crush. Everything else I torqued down because it's just metal and metal, no box section, just flat steel. It should be fine. I'm almost done here. Got both sides put on. I am putting the last of the slats in the middle, these things. So I have to raise them in from the bottom, move up to the top, and attach them to the hole at the top. Up here, I do the screw at the top, because that will support it the rest of the way down. I can line up the other hole at the bottom, put the screw in, and then move on. Okay, I'm putting the last slat in here, making a note to myself, that end here between this post and the end of the bar is longer than it is on this end. This end goes to the top under the shelf. You will know you have it wrong if the tube sticks out above the top rail. So I discovered that when I was doing these. You probably do 3 in a row right and then run into run that's wrong. Anyway, okay, this is a tip. I'm going back and putting all the screws in, all the holes here, now that I got everything roughly in place. I did notice that holes weren't lining up because these rails have to match the brackets there. They're keyholed, you have to press them down, and one of them wasn't snapped into place, so this screw hole wasn't lining up right. Make sure you press them down and it should be fine. So note there, they're lined up. There's lined up. There's lined up. I had one of them on the other side that was not, it was up like that. The hole doesn't line up. Press it back down and it will. That is all set up. Everything's tightened. One screw short. These are the screws. I had a lot of those. I was surprised. One screw short, so I must have dropped it somewhere, lost it. Anyway, I think it will work even if that's missing. I'm not going to put all the bins on right now because, well, I need to fill them up. I'm sorting bolts, etc. But these literally... Okay, so if you're stacking these, they have little pins that line up with these grooves. Unless you're stacking these, that alignment in there doesn't really matter. Because literally it's the little lip on the back of the bin that just slips over and holds it in place. But I took these out and stacked them up, as I need to put them somewhere and I didn't want them 100 bins everywhere. The other accessory for my rack is thread checker gauge, so I could figure out what washers, what nuts, what bolts go in which container. It is about 7 o'clock. I am finishing up the last piece here on one side, hole, mounting bracket, and this is like a toilet paper roll. Just slides over, it's meant to roll on top. And then up at the top here, put in the other toilet paper roll, and it's a handle on the side of the cart. Finally, a bolt goes in the top, tighten it up, and there's your, you could keep toilet paper there if you wanted to, I guess. I'm opting to go with the handle, because, yeah. Tighten it up with the screwdriver. Done. Spinny, all done. The wheels on this end have the brake on it. Click it off so it can roll around. I put the brakes on the end rather than on the front. My choice. That's how I'm going to use it. Pivot it to one end and then put it into place. Okay, there are all my shelves with the bins that have nuts and bolts and washers and stuff. I'm gonna clean off that crap, organize it into containers here. This is where this goes. Because this is two-sided, it needs to be able to be slid out so that I can get to both sides, but I want it to store away against the wall, so it's nice that it has these pivoting rollers here so that I can access things. You can see I have the blue bins over there and then the red bins. These also, they lock in, pins there. But the whole point is for me to sort all my bolts, all my nuts, all my crap into these bins so that I can reclaim my motorcycle lift table, which just has way too much stuff on it. I have bolts just laying here. What is this? We have to find it on the size checker. I'm pretty sure it's a 5mm. Yes, 5mm by 8. Perfect. Drop it in the box. And go back and do the next one until we get all this crap cleared off the table. Okay, this is how I've decided to sort washers. Pick up a washer, put it on, figure out what size it is, drop it on, leave it there. Go find another one. Find out what size it is, drop it on, leave it there. Once I have a pile, I'm just gonna lift it off the post, put it in a box. That's how I'm gonna do that for washers. 3 weeks later, I have nuts and bolts and stuff sorted. It's now mobile, mostly washers and nuts and rando parts. 3 weeks of this. I also resorted all the bolts into containers on the wall. All this so that I could get my motorcycle lift back. And then I went to lower my motorcycle lift to sweep off the top. Unfortunately, the cylinder on the jack was rusted all the way around and I was unable to even lower my lift. It would go down, it would go up, but it wouldn't go down. There, it's getting stuck. So close to having my garage in a condition that I could put a bike up there and work on it. So close. Okay, I have my motorcycle lift reclaimed here. So I have the parts for the Z set out. This will be the workbench to take the crank out, split the cases, etc. Here's my XR100 motor. I'd really like to use that motor at some point, but anyway, it's just up there for right now.